The following presentation
of the Eric McKenna Project is sponsored by
no one.
Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Let's crack this open. I have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions. First off, again, thank you so much for being here. That
Thanks
means
for
a
having
lot.
us.
Yeah, you say the word safari to me, being the big chicken that I kind of am. That doesn't talk about that, but you say the word safari to me. It doesn't take me long to be interested because that's like, and Katie mentioned to me almost 8-9 months ago, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how do we get them on the show? And she goes, well, they run safaris, Eric. They're not really around all the time. I said, well, next week. I don't even know if they're in town. How you both doing?
Good.
Good. It's been a trip to get here, but I've enjoyed it, and I
so
obviously love being here.
So you just landed.
Yes.
And you off camera, you were telling me it was quite the flight.
Yeah, it takes me roughly from Johannesburg to get just to the States is about 16 and a half hours, straight flight, without a stop, so it's quite a long way. Huh?
16. I want to pull this mic closer to you. Hold on one second. We're good. It's all fluid. We're live. Let's make sure I can hear you.
Sure.
You can stay right where you're at.
Okay.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right. 16 hours.
Yeah.
How do you survive that on the plane?
A couple beers, I guess.
A couple? 16 hours?
16
That's the
hours.
first hour.
Yeah. I don't know. Just you try to work a bit and so on. Just you're not wasting time.
Yeah.
But also a good time to relax and also reset. Especially with not having too much contact for that time. With social media taking over and all that kind of stuff. We're always on our phones, so
Right.
you lose touch with your. I guess doing introspective stuff. So just looking at where you're sort of going, planning, that kind of stuff. That's how I pass the time.
Now, both of you are photographers, and that's a whole nother huge excitement for me. Just looking at the photos, I mean, folks that can really do it well, that's always like, wow. But naturally, photography dovetails into a safari, the whole concept of a safari. But, I mean, the photos, some of those photos,
They're amazing. That's how I met Kyle.
it's unbelievable.
I didn't meet Kyle through Jen. Actually, I did physically, but I saw him. Well, wait for it. I meant in person.
I'm a little slow.
I meant in person.
I know what you meant.
But I saw that he was friends with a bunch of people on Instagram, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And I brought up, and I messaged you. I said, "These photos are incredible."
Yep. Thank you.
So let's unpack this a little bit. We're not an interview show. We're just going to go here. We're going to point them at the end of this show to you, of course. But the photography thing. So was the photography thing had to have come first in your life, right?
Yeah, for me, it's. I think it started with me pretty much.
Yes.
I was a game ranger. I started out like that, so I used to work at safari lodges in the Kruger National Park in South Africa.
Right.
And I sort of just self-taught. I took an interest in it because you're out there, and I always wanted to show family, friends what I was up to. So I got into it, and as you progress, it just gets better and better, and it's literally become an obsession for me. It's just showing people the incredible wildlife that we have to offer, and that's still around. And it also, with species extinction and so on, it's such a good way to educate people as well. It gets it out there. Not everybody has the ability to go on a safari. So by using social media and showing off these animals, it creates awareness as well. So that's sort of my goal behind it.
So you almost fell into it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how about yourself?
Actually, I didn't really get into it until I went on safari with Kyle.
Yeah.
That's how we met at the lodge that he was working at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the photos are unbelievable.
He's much better than I am.
That would never show. Thank God for telephoto lenses, huh? Because some of those photos are just a little bit too close for comfort.
Some of them have been pretty close. Listen, I didn't exactly zoom in on everything.
So, what was the sketchiest? There had to be a couple sketchy moments, right? On the photography end.
On the photography end of it in the bush, I mean, it's always just depends on how far you're going to push it, without disturbing.
And how far do you push it?
Depends on how far you're allowed to push it.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on how far the guys on the ground where I'm at will let me go. And obviously, I'm always taking into account that I don't want to put anybody else at risk or upset that animal, because that's unethical to me.
Right.
So I try and focus on the ethical side of it. So I never ever photograph caged animals, trained animals, nothing like that. It's completely wild, and that's where I like to keep it.
Yeah. It's just. It's like I have this affinity for elephants ever since I was young, you know, and that's just been the animal that I guess I dig the most.
Yeah.
My dogs get mad at me. I'll saddle my dog, but ultimately, I've always had that dream of like, what would it take outside of going to the zoo and photographing elephants? And so when I see creatures that big, you can learn about them in school when you're young. You can see them on the TV show. You can see them. You can experience them, but you really can't experience them.
No, not until you're right next to them.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it puts you in a space, in a mental space that's just so far out, because it's this incredibly wise creature. You know, they remember so many things. They can actually identify people after years apart by smell. Wow. So they actually remember individuals.
So when you see like an animal like a gorilla recognize someone, that isn't all just made for television stuff. That really is the truth.
It's real. Yeah, it's the real thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Does this work with humans?
Well, if I don't like you anymore, I just change my perfume.
I guess that's kind of how it works. I guess I don't know. Okay. How did you two meet?
On safari in March of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was my first trip to Africa.
All right.
Did you go alone?
With my parents.
Okay.
It was a family trip. Yeah.
It was just no, but your bio indicates that you've done a heck of a lot of traveling in your life.
Yes.
So that wasn't your first. Was your first trip to Africa?
It was my first trip. Yes, to Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so now I've stopped traveling elsewhere and I'm focusing on Africa.
All right.
Now that we have the safari company.
Understand.
Yes.
Understand.
So.
Is it just a curious thing with you? I mean, is it curiosity that makes you want to travel as much? I don't travel. I have the opportunity to. So when I hear someone that loves it, I'm fascinated by that.
Other cultures, and I love walking around cities, and I don't know. I love travel.
You don't think you're just a bunch of old buildings that need a paint job? I mean, I'm sorry. No, I mean, you know, some people really enjoy it, and I respect that. Now, the wilderness is totally different, but does it go you know? I mean, I've done it.
I get bored if I'm here too long.
So,
I've been back since August, and I'm already bored. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go to you go to Rome. Rome's cool, but there's no no lions walking around in the street. No, at least not in our age. Right? So you guys met on a safari.
Yep.
And how long did the idea of partnering up and
well, then we went on a trip. That was March, and that October was our first trip together. We went to Tanzania to do the wildebeest migration.
What year was this?
2019.
Okay.
And then he was working for another photography company. That's when I started to get into photography.
Well, I was freelancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we kept traveling. And then we did some gorillas, chimpanzees, Rwanda and Uganda.
In Rwanda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the beginning of last year is when we really cooked up this idea to...
Yeah, I figured it's
in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You got stuck here, right?
Yeah, just short of 6 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't get back.
So they had a lot of time.
You got stuck here.
I got actually stuck here during the pandemic. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I know. I learned a lot about you guys on the side.
Let's see what happened during that year. Let's see. Crazy election. Bunch of wild people fighting with each other. Yeah.
It was very, very informative for me.
Effing Americans are crazy. You were stuck here during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then actually we left here in, was it August?
Yeah, it was the end of August.
And then headed to Tanzania, and I was actually meant to come back and got to Amsterdam, and I couldn't get on the flight back. It's when you guys really closed down again.
Yeah.
So I actually got stuck in Ireland for 18 days?
17 days, in Dublin.
And then
during the lockdown.
That's not a bad gig. Oh, it was locked down there too?
Well, it was fun.
It's never locked down.
I mean, the Irish never really locked anything down.
Just the key to the whiskey. That's what every
was that
evening.
when Linda came?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you were stuck in Dublin for what, about 2 weeks?
Just short of 3.
Yeah, it was 17 days.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And then he went back to Africa. And this is the first time he's been able to come here.
Yeah,
this week.
Since.
Yeah. Because we just opened our borders.
Yeah, it wasn't like 2 days ago, huh?
Yeah.
2-3 days ago. Monday, yeah.
So I would imagine you were stuck here, but you weren't able to really see much of.
Oh no, we traveled.
We did stuff.
Okay,
yeah,
so
we traveled.
We went to Wyoming.
Oh,
Montana.
Right on. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah.
I think they're headed to Yellowstone, right?
Yeah, we're headed to Jackson Hole on Monday.
Yeah. Nice. Mm-hmm. I got a stepdaughter just came back from there. She loves it there.
It's amazing.
It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Stunning.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's beautiful on a different level. Like especially, I particularly like the Grand Tetons.
Mm-hmm.
I just think with the wildlife in that area and the scenery, there's not much that matches it. I mean, I've seen some pretty cool places.
Wow, really? That's saying something.
It's picturesque. It's incredible. Yeah.
Well, you had the photographer's bent as well too, so your eye is going to look at it differently. I would think though, with all the places you've been, especially with the types of animals you have seen, it's a pretty tall statement.
Yeah, I sort of grew up with it. So the safari.
Take it for granted?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I take it for granted. I think you just get used to things that are always there.
Okay.
I've been going to national parks since the age of 2 with my parents. I've been going to the Kruger National Park since I couldn't even walk. As a little kid, it's passion.
Yeah.
It was ingrained with me with my parents. So
talk to me about that park.
So, Kruger National Park? Okay. So it's roughly, I think it's about 3 million hectares, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a border with Mozambique, southern Mozambique. So there's a transfrontier that goes through, so animals can move freely between the countries. And if you look at it, it's unique from the sense that it's got so many different environments within one area. There's like savannas, forests, riverine, but the way you have to look at it is that it's one of the last refuges in southern Africa, especially within South Africa, that's not fenced completely.
Like, what do you mean?
So most game parks now are actually fenced in
I didn't
Africa.
know that.
Yeah, private game reserves are fenced, so it's open, and it opens up into a wider conservation area called the Greater Kruger.
Okay.
And with that, with allowing animals to move freely and so on, it helps with the genetics, so on and so forth, with these animals. So you're not closing them off. You're actually allowing free movement. Yeah.
And so, we have national parks here. Is that considered a nationalized park there?
Yes, it's a national park.
Okay. And you said that the animals move freely.
Yeah,
between borders.
Between borders, there are fences in place to stop human-wildlife conflict, which I don't know if you know much about that, but in Africa, it's a big recurring problem.
Talk to me.
So you're often finding that with population expansion and so on, we're moving into wilder areas. We're starting to put pressure on these animals. By taking away that natural environment, you're essentially taking away something's food source. So by farming it on the borders of a national park, you're inviting trouble. So we have to put things into place to stop that conflict.
Okay.
So, for instance, relocation of animals, stopping people from getting too close to the borders of these parks. And most of the time, it's actually happening more in East Africa because I don't think there's as much control, from a border perspective. I mean,
okay,
you can pretty much move through the parks there as you feel. Yeah.
So, again, it's the typical man versus animal circumstance
100%,
again. Yeah, and it is fascinating to me that the animals can move freely between borders.
Yeah.
So how does that manage then between countries like that?
Sure. I mean, it takes a collective effort,
Yeah.
A lot of research, a lot of man hours. You've got to really be on top of it. It's essentially why I didn't go into research. I think it's too much work. Not enough pay, too much work.
It's not as exciting as photography anyways,
no,
right?
100%. Yeah, so I mean, we've got what we call transfrontier parks.
Okay.
So it's movement that across border, and essentially it just allows genetic variation and so on to happen.
Of course.
It's more natural.
Oh, no question. No question. I don't know how to phrase what I want to say. The park itself.
Yeah.
Can you go through the park into that country?
Yes, you can actually drive through. There's a border post between Mozambique and South Africa, right in the northern corner.
Okay.
It's actually quite unique on the Limpopo River. There's actually 3 countries that meet. So it's Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and South Africa.
Okay.
And you can stand within the Kruger National Park and watch a cattle boy come across from Mozambique.
I've seen photos of that. Yeah, that's what I suspected.
Yeah,
that's very cool. The types of animals that you have photographed. Let's talk about them.
Sure. Jen, kick us off there.
Well, the gorillas and the chimpanzees.
Let's talk about those.
Lots of monkeys.
Yeah.
Now, you said you just recently did that, right?
That was February. That was right before the lockdown, February 2020.
Of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that was fun. But you're like hiking through
Jungle.
the forest, jungle, chasing after.
You said that was in Tanzania?
No, Rwanda and Uganda.
I'm sorry, Rwanda. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's set the stage here. Okay. So you're literally walking through the jungle,
Yeah.
and there's
Carrying your big camera, and you're chasing, and the ground is slippery.
It's tough.
It's
tough
tough.
going. It's
Yeah.
tough going. Altitude. I mean, these animals are not living at low altitudes,
Right.
especially the gorillas. Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda,
okay.
which is on the border of the Congo.
Right.
So yeah, the Congo's right. It's a pretty wicked place to be.
Yeah.
'Cause you look across certain areas and you know what's happening in the Congo, and it's close.
A little
Is that
sketchy.
where Diane Fossey worked?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, are there rules? Like, what do they suggest you do or not do when you encounter?
Well, you only are allowed to. You hike till they find the gorillas, and then you're only allowed to be there for an hour.
Okay.
And there's guards, and they're managing it, so you're not going up and touching them.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
they come up to you with
Yes.
being curious and so on. I mean, you had some pretty cool experiences like
Yeah.
that. You had more of an
I got
experience
pushed
than I did.
by a little baby one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't fall over, but he came and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Now,
Pretty intimidating too.
so did Hollywood just make gorillas out to be mean?
Yes.
Like, because you see like the movies and the teeth, and they're right. I mean, can a gorilla attack?
It can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt threatened naturally.
Yeah,
They're not
with-
a natural predator in that regard. They're just if they feel threatened.
They're actually vegetarians most of the time.
Wow,
Well,
okay.
actually, I think gorillas 100% of the time are vegetarian, where chimpanzees will cross feed, so they will hunt as well.
What's the difference between a gorilla and a chimpanzee?
Size, yeah, there's actually quite a lot. So diet, where they live, altitude-wise,
Okay.
Social structures. If you're looking at social structures, they do move within groups. So chimpanzees will all sort of communicate through the forest.
Really?
Yeah, where gorillas are actually specific family groups. So chimpanzees will have a wider family structure, and gorillas are quite specific to
That's interesting.
who they're with. Yeah.
Huh. Now there's a bone structure difference too, like visually,
Yeah,
right?
and size.
Yeah.
Size
okay.
is massive.
So what? Chimpanzee naturally smaller, and gorillas. But there's so many breeds of gorillas, though, right? I mean,
So there's two.
there's
Officially.
just two.
Yeah, two.
Okay.
Lowland and mountain. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the visual differences?
So facial structure, bone structure, they actually, so the length of their fur and so on is also different.
Okay,
Or
to
hair,
adapt to
yeah.
the climate.
Yes, yeah, because lowland, obviously it's a lot more humid. They're moving through swampy areas. In Odzala National Park in the Congo, they actually feed on a lot of like water plants, like lilies and so on. So they will also eat like that. And the mountain gorillas are mainly feeding on high altitude bamboo.
Really?
Yes, bamboo, a lot of like nettles and so on. That's what they really like. So you have to cover up nicely when walking through the jungle.
Oh,
Gets a bit prickly at times.
prickly nettles.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And
I
they
ran into
hit
this
you.
once in my life and never want to run into this again. Yes.
Is there
it's
still
neat.
ongoing research, like through? Does she have a foundation there? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does.
So they'd still
And who are we talking
observe Diane
about?
Fossey.
I didn't- Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of you can actually go visit the site where she did most of her work.
Right.
There's now a brand new museum that's going up in Kigali, which is the capital of Rwanda.
Right.
That's correct, right? Yeah, it is Kigali. And so you can get involved. So once a year, the Rwandan government actually holds a naming day for all the new gorilla babies that have been born within the family groups.
That's cool.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, so there's naming day within Rwanda for the gorillas. It's
that's very cool.
it's their pride and joy.
That's
They're
very
protected
cool.
with their lives. It's a very, very important conservation effort because there's not a lot of them left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hear you talk about it in real life. It puts a gravity that you just don't get from a television show
No.
or even like a magazine. It's just it's
Yeah.
different. It's a lot different when you sit really and think
Very
about
different.
it. Well, and I imagine seeing and experiencing it's the whole nother level,
yeah.
right?
They're intimidating, hey? Yeah, it's a big animal. We were sitting on a path, and as the family group moves, you're following them through the forest or the jungle. And have a silverback gorilla come next to you, you feel very, very small. hey? I'm sure there's a couple big linemen here that also would be a little bit scared of the gorilla.
A silverback gorilla. Why? Again, probably just Hollywood. Like, why did they get that vicious
They are aggressive. They're very protective over their family structures. I mean, you'd be protective over your family,
right?
You know, and we're sharing such close DNA and genetics with them. I mean, a chimpanzee, I think, it's 98%. So if you're looking at gorilla, I think it's roughly 96%, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So we're very similar. So when family's under threat or feels threatened, you know, dad reacts and protects the family.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And you say that they're primarily vegetarians, or they are vegetarians?
I would say gorilla is probably 100%. Yeah, 100% vegetarian.
Wow, I did not know that.
I've never heard of gorillas actually feeding on anything else besides plants. Yeah.
Huh. See, it's like it's so educational. I can't get over it. You feel so mentally small. I probably should have learned that in grade school.
Mentally.
Yeah, mentally small. Yes, mentally small. And then we move on. Yes. So, okay, gorillas. Talk about other animals you have been recently experiencing.
Tell them of the elephant picture you just took, or I don't know if you just took it or you're about to share.
I don't know. I can't remember when I took it. It was about a while. Oh, it was quite a while ago.
This year, though.
I think this year.
Yeah.
I actually got the opportunity to get out of the safari vehicle with a bull elephant. Obviously staying close for safety and just reading the situation with my fellow guide who was with me and Jen on the vehicle. And I managed to actually have him walk towards me. It's a pretty incredible photograph. Yeah, he was probably from me to the wall away. Yeah,
a bull elephant.
A bull elephant. Yeah.
And you were down on the down
on the ground,
looking up.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And you weren't even remotely scared about that?
Let me not be tough. Yeah, it's intimidating. No, it's intimidating. But because I've been trained in game ranging and being a field guide and now being a private guide, so that's my official title, private guide and wildlife photographer.
Right.
You learn animal behavior. We are humans. We would also make mistakes, but you can read the general gist of an animal. If he's relaxed or not. Am I too close? Am I in his way? You know, they've got certain structures or show me signs. So if, for instance, if he starts really moving and he steps forward at you, you're going to see it. You're going to feel that presence.
It's just, it has to be an unbelievable feeling. It's something that big that's live. You know, it's different than being. You see them in the zoo. Anybody can go to the zoo and see them, but I mean
there's a fence.
There's
between you.
There's a fence or a wall or something.
I stay in the vehicle. I don't get out of the vehicle.
Yeah,
see that's something.
You got your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
See you, Kyle.
Wait, it might not be the right kind of terrain, but have you experienced like hippos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So. That's one animal that I'd never take a chance with. You know, hippos.
That's where I wanted to go. They're aggressive, right?
It's the animal in Africa that kills the most people, second to the mosquito.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Anopheles mosquito.
That's a fun fact.
Look at his face.
I've watched a few documentaries. They fascinate me because you think of a hippo being this lumbering, kind of like like an elephant lumbering along, but that jaw.
Oh my god.
I mean, like,
yeah. It's a big animal, and they actually are not slow at all. It's a lot faster than we could move. I think we'd have to do the conversion, but roughly 40 kilometers an hour. So that'd be roughly 20 miles an hour, I'd say, that they're moving.
So you're going to get outrun by a hippo.
Oh, 100%, any day of the week.
Yes, that's horrifying. And they can that jaw opens so wide,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's just it clamps down. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
That's way more frightening than an alligator. Like I seen you watch it.
I don't know.
An alligator. I mean, the teeth scare you, but just this pure size of a hippopotamus.
It's
There's
massive.
some pretty big crocs out there too.
Oh, yeah, some giants.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Ancient beasts of the Mara River in the northern Serengeti, Tanzania. Sort of on the border between Kenya and Tanzania.
Okay.
It's where the famous wildebeest migration happens.
Right.
And 90% of that's taking place within Tanzania, and roughly 10% just across the border in the Masai Mara in Kenya. Those crocodiles are probably some of the scariest things that I've ever seen in my life. They almost lose color, so they actually don't know what the oldest crocodile is, because there's so many of them in this river that feed once a year and then disappear.
Wow.
They actually go into like a semi sort of hibernation state and just wait for the wildebeest to cross that river once a year.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And you're there for that all the time, right? You like that?
Yeah, we've done 3 crossing seasons.
So back up for a second.
Yeah.
Bring me up to speed here. When you say crossing seasons, the wildebeests are coming. Is it an annual pilgrimage, so to speak?
Yeah.
And the predator lays in wait for that moment.
For the opportunity, yeah.
Yes.
It's literally waiting. So how this migration actually works is that they're following the rain, so seasonal rain. The Serengeti is so big that they're moving the whole time. It's a continuous cycle. So they'll be in the southern Serengeti roughly from sort of January through March, and that's where they give birth. And then the youngsters have got to carry on, and they go up the western corridor. They cross the Grumeti River, I think it is. And that's the first challenge for these youngsters, for the little ones. Then they've got to go up north. They cross the Mara River into Kenya. Then they have to cross back and then go back south. So, and it's an annual migration of over 1 million animals.
Wow!
It's 1 million wildebeest that are essentially traveling together.
And zebras.
And zebra, yeah.
That has to be something to see, though.
It's
wild.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be something. So,
I
so the zebras are mixed in there.
Yes.
Yeah. They're the troublemakers.
Why?
Because you'll be sitting there waiting for all these wildebeest to cross, and then one zebra will decide, I don't want to cross here, and he'll turn around, and then all the wildebeest will follow him. Yeah.
That makes it a little difficult for photographers, I'd imagine, too.
Yes.
The wildebeest, what family of animal is that?
So it's actually its own unique.
Is it?
So it would be similar to a cow. I mean, if you look at its structure.
Okay.
It's got an udder. It's
right.
It's got a hoof. So it's similar. It's almost like a wild cow, but it's not as close like a buffalo would be to a cow.
Okay.
It's quite a unique animal. Yeah.
Okay.
We always say that God put wildebeest together with all the leftover parts, because if you look at it, nothing makes sense.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. It's got the horse of a tail. It's got a beard underneath. It's got really funny little horns. It's all the leftover parts.
You made a lot of them.
Too many. And there's actually quite a variation of wildebeest from area to area and country to country. They're not all the same.
What's the differentiation?
So
visually,
so
color and
color. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So in the Serengeti, for instance, it's called a white bearded wildebeest because underneath it's white.
Right.
South Africa, it's either the brindled or blue. And then we've also got those ones, the horns are coming out the side of the head.
Right.
Where in the central part of South Africa, we've got black wildebeest as well, where the horns come out the front. And they're slightly smaller. Yeah.
Oh, that's also a wildebeest. I thought that was a different animal.
Yeah, so it comes out the front like this, and the other ones come out like that.
Okay. So educational. I can't believe this came from you. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is incredible.
I'm good at bringing things to you.
It's just whether I can handle it or not, right? Okay. Go back to the alligator circumstance for a second, because when I said that, I wasn't being dismissive, but I compared to the size of I was looking at his size thing, but the alligators, it was pretty horrifying what you said. You said they lay in wait for the wildebeest, and did you say they turn colors, they camouflage themselves?
No. So actually from sun exposure, because they get so old. So if you look at a Nile crocodile, and these are Nile crocodiles,
right.
And if you look at it when they're born, because they need to be camouflaged, they've got little spots, and they're more of like a sort of greeny yellowish color.
Okay.
And as you get older, bigger, stronger, and you lie in the sun and bake, being a reptile, it needs to warm up. It's cold-blooded. So
right.
as it's baking, they actually start losing that green color and start turning more of like a brown into like almost like a black.
Oh, that dark. Okay.
Wow.
Dark.
Okay.
That's scary.
Yeah. No, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Now, do they help me understand how they operate? They are also in packs too, or are they independent?
So due to, like, if you look at an alligator, an American alligator, if you look at the teeth, they're quite round, and they also roll, so they're swallowing a lot of their food. So crocodiles will, for instance, make a kill. Let's say one of the wildebeest are crossing and it manages to latch on, normally drown it and then stash it and wait for it to
so
sort
the
of
teeth
start.
aren't really cutting it; they're actually holding it and then drowning it. That's
holding and
interesting.
drowning.
Okay,
that's how they kill, and that's how they get their food. So that's
the crocs. Okay.
Yeah, and so what they'll do is they'll stash these wildebeest because they'll make multiple kills because they don't all cross in one go.
Got it.
It's sort of oh, Bob's going to cross tomorrow and his family's coming behind. These guys got left over there, so they'll cross in 2 days, and then it rains in the south, and then they cross. So they don't just cross one time, it's multiple times that section, which is June through October. Yeah.
Wow.
So during that time, they're crossing back and forth as the rain's confusing them, because now it rains on the southern side of the river, and it's raining in the north, and these guys are back and forth. So there's multiple kills happening on a daily basis.
Okay.
What they'll then do is, in the beginning of the season is normally better for that, because the crocs are hungry. I mean, they haven't eaten for a year. So they're making a kill and then coming together and working together as almost as a team to break down this food. So one will hold here, another will go here, and he'll turn, he'll do his death roll, pull off a chunk.
That's amazing.
Another croc will come in, and then they just sort of rotate through the carcasses. Now
that behavior, is that also similar how American alligators or crocodiles would do the same thing? How's it different?
I think it's to do with population numbers in specific areas. A lot of crocodiles vary in their diet as well. In southern Tanzania, in the Selous, which is now just changed to Nyerere National Park, it's actually one of the biggest parks in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. It is the biggest park in Tanzania, and there they mainly feed on catfish. They actually don't really hunt mammals. So the diet and the color variations, it's completely different. Yeah.
Well, if they can catch a catfish, because you would think a fish could move faster than a croc, right?
Crocodiles are pretty
apparently
quick,
not. That's what's horrifying. They're moving at a pretty good clip. I mean, yeah. See, that's you always, whether you go to Florida and you golf or you're around the canals, you're always worried they're going to crawl up there. But you look at them and you say, I can outrun that son of a bitch. You know what I mean? But yeah, you wouldn't want to get.
They're actually surprisingly fast on land. I mean, when last did you see a crocodile run? It's very, very intimidating. They move incredibly fast.
Can they outrun a human?
They're going to catch you if they want to.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But most of the time, you're only seeing that explosive speed when they're trying to look for cover with water. Because I can't remember now what the word was, but they're hiding and laying in wait. So crocodiles will actually learn human behavior, especially in Africa, because of water.
Okay.
So back to the hippos on that point quickly. That's where the conflict comes in, is over water. Because obviously the hippo's in the water.
Right.
And when do people go fetch water? Okay, morning and evening.
Got it.
When you need it, because it lasts you the day and then the night. And at those times, the hippos are either leaving or coming back from grazing. And they're meeting in the middle. Mm-hmm. So the hippo panics, goes into the water, you get in the way. Unfortunate for you.
Now, the hippo...
Yeah.
So obviously a croc and an alligator are carnivores.
Yes.
A hippo is not, right? But they will if they're intimidated.
So we've heard only really, there's a couple areas that I've only heard of this behavior taking place in South Luangwa in Zambia. South Luangwa is a national park in Zambia.
Okay.
And there it gets really, really dry. So the water sources dry up, there's no food, and it's been known that bull hippos will feed on carrion as well. So anything that's died in that area, to supplement their diet, they will actually feed on meat. But it's not something that they hunt per se. So they won't go out and hunt. They'll rather eat grass, because that's what they do. So moving up to like 30 kilometers a night, in a big round circle. But if a big bull needs that nutrition, he will go and he will feed. Yeah, but it will be dead. He's not going to kill something and eat it.
It's kind of how I view hot dogs. We'll eat them unless there's nothing else in their kitchen. I'll make one of those sons of bitches, but I really don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Let's talk about a gentler animal.
Yes.
For a second. Giraffes.
I love giraffes too.
Now they are gentler, right? I'm waiting for them to say, "Oh, yeah, they'll come around that neck and they'll squeeze you."
Kick really hard, right?
They kick really hard, yeah.
Okay, so that is their defense mechanism.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. They actually kick in 360 degrees with each leg, so they can kick any way with it, where it's coming from. Yeah. They've got a rotation joint, yeah.
She can do that.
Yeah. Give me enough drinks, I might try.
So wait, 306. Wait, what?
Yeah, so the leg can move within 360 degrees like that. So your leg, you kick forward or back.
Right.
If you're kicking sideways, it's not very effective, but a giraffe can.
So it's like
out.
a ball joint up there that just spins.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is there video of that? I'd love to see that.
Yeah. There's definitely video of it. You can see it. A giraffe can be aggressive, hey? It's a big animal.
But it doesn't move fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They can kick down.
Those long legs.
Where's the slow animals in the safari?
And how fast do your cars go? Safari.
Yeah. They're good.
There's actually there's a funny video of a guy that we know that a giraffe was chasing the safari vehicle.
Yeah.
Matt
Yardley. He's one of my friends from back home.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this giraffe was booking after, and they're driving quickly.
Yeah, it's on. I think it's on TikTok, and I think he's over 24 million views on that video now.
Holy
Yeah.
smokes!
Yeah.
The giraffe's chasing them down.
Yeah. It happened.
The safari vehicle.
Yeah, it's actually chasing the safari vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's just great. That's
why they do
cool
what they do,
shit.
and we do
yeah,
what we
and
do.
I watch it on the videos. Exactly. They're just so. Because to a layman that looks at a giraffe, that's a very graceful animal.
It is
like
graceful.
the next move like this.
But we always see them in like cages and stuff, and so they're not as
I've never seen a giraffe in a cage.
not a
I've seen 'em
cage.
in
You know what I mean? I mean at the
Zoo.
zoo.
Yeah.
They're like depressed.
That's a big ass cage. You put a giraffe in a cage.
You know what I meant.
I mean, how do you do that? I mean, no, but no, that's naturally they're not a carnivore, right?
No,
they eat trees and shrubs and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, what other gentle animals are out there? Not many, I'm thinking.
Sure. No, you've always got to realize that we're actually useless as a species without our brain. The only reason why some of us.
Hey.
But yeah,
The fact that it took her that long to figure it out
I know, she just sat there.
proves my point. Proves my point. I'm sorry. I owe you anyways.
Yeah, so if you even look at our foot structure and so on versus wildlife, we're very, very primitive and slow. We've got flat feet, they're soft. Look at how we built. We're soft. We've actually, like through evolution and time,
Some of us
people
are
have become
softer than others.
a lot. Yeah. So if you look at us, like without our brain, like if you go out into the wild and let's say the Serengeti, and you had to just try and survive there, and you have no knowledge,
You're
I
dead.
don't think you're going to last very long, huh?
Yeah. No, I get that, but gentle. There's got to be some more gentle animals.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
Well, the
Like
gazelles and the
How do they
impala.
Yeah.
the impala.
Yeah.
Talk about the impalas.
No, you.
Impala is a mixed feeding antelope, so similar to a deer. So they'll
Do
feed.
they survive based on their speed and skill to get away? Is
Yes.
that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Very,
they
very
can't
quick
fight.
reaction.
They don't fight, or do they fight?
They have got horns.
Do they
but
use them?
They will try and use it for defense. However, they're not really that big. So if you take 150 kilograms, or I don't know what that will convert to in pounds, but roughly, let's say a 400-pound lion is going to take on a 140-pound gazelle. I mean, he's going to win. So,
A gazelle.
Yeah.
That's all you got. You can go see the gazelles and the sloths.
Yeah.
The sloths. There's no sloths
I have
over
a
there.
lisp, but I picked that word to say.
There's no
we
sloths over there, right?
Edit that out. No. I want to talk about like going on a safari, like with them.
Well, yeah. Okay, you have the floor.
Like,
This is the co-host seat. We rock
like
it.
walk me through how that. Like, what would you guys be doing it? Like, do you have a team, or how does this work?
Oh, I'll let Jen go on that one. She's more behind the scenes like that.
Right on.
I'm sort of there, so Jen knows sort of more of the structures and stuff and how we do
Yeah,
that.
and we've found a lot of different camps that we really, really like. So we have relationships with managers and staff and stuff and the guides. But you would fly to Africa, Tanzania, South Africa, and then we pick you up, basically.
Yep.
And from the moment you land until the moment you leave, we're with you.
We're taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and teaching you photography skills, making sure you're getting on your flights and
Yeah.
you're enjoying yourself out on drive. And he's as knowledgeable as the guides when you're out on safari. So I'm always learning.
Hey, you've
'Cause
learned,
I have, like,
you've learned
two
a
guides.
lot, eh? You've learned a lot. Don't put yourself down on that knowledge. No, she knows a lot more than she lets on.
Not like you, though.
Now, how long will is there variations of packages? Like we could.
It could be any
Yeah.
length, but if you're going to fly 16 hours, you kind of want to be there for
It
at
ain't,
least...
it ain't a weekend trip.
No, it's not a weekend. At least 10 days.
I'd
Because
say
that's a lot of
minimum, yeah, to
flying.
To make it worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like to get to Tanzania from here, it takes me, because you go through Amsterdam, it takes me almost 30 hours of travel time.
So we've got to go through Amsterdam.
Yeah.
To get to Tanzania, yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, It's kind of exciting.
It's a journey. It's a long. Yeah.
I'm going back to the animals. Are we done with like the logistics here?
I want to go.
So, other gentle animals before we get to the lions and the cats.
I think your experience. One animal that specifically has stood out for me along my travels is golden monkeys in Rwanda as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty wicked little animals. So it's not golden per se. It's more a little bit ginger.
Okay.
And they live within the same areas as the gorillas, chimps in the forest. So they're eating bamboo shoots. But very gentle. So once you're within the family group, they actually just relax around you. You know, you watch them feed, play, the little ones.
Are they small?
They're sort of roughly about that big.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're much smaller. I mean, the males can be a little bit intimidating, but it's always just if you're getting a little too close. You know, they don't aggressively attack. It's not an attack animal.
Okay.
But absolutely fascinating to watch how they feed, the social structures, how they interact with each other, how they confirm and build those bonds within a family. You know, it reminds me a lot of us.
Okay, is that the of these breeds that you've seen? Is that the closest to the human experience?
I think it all varies. I think you can always pull sort of a comparison between us and an animal. However, I would say that family structure comes first for primates. They're very, very, very intense about hierarchies, that kind of stuff. You know, if you're the head of your household, it comes with certain responsibilities.
Okay.
And that's how I think they also see looking at their social structures. And a lot of times they'll actually be a male with a couple other males that will also look after and protect. So yeah, I like them. I like primates.
Yeah. Okay.
Do they only mate with one?
No, multiple.
The player.
Yeah. Now it's sounding more like our state of affairs over here.
Your state of affairs over there. The big cats. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I'm quite obsessed with them.
I know.
Yeah. Jen, I've never even actually asked you, what's your favorite big cat?
Big cat? I think the cheetah.
You think cheetah?
I don't know. I like them all. Leopards, lions. Yeah. They're all... But I like the cheetahs. Mm. The cheetahs have the best eyes. For photography, I feel like they could have some stunning...
I don't know. I think I'll disagree on that one. I think leopards, definitely. With colour variation within the eyes and so on. Cheetah, for me, is such a unique animal.
Okay, so talk about the differences between those two.
Okay, so also body size and it really comes down to lots of behavior.
Okay.
A cheetah actually isn't a true cat. It's its own species. It doesn't have retractable claws.
Huh. Oh, really?
Yeah. It actually because of it's the fastest land mammal. It needs those claws available at all times. So it's using it for traction. And if you look at it, I'm open to correction on this fact, but I think a cheetah's tail is like almost 3/4 the length of its body, if not longer.
Wow.
To use as a rudder when it's moving at that speed.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. It actually uses it as a rudder in the air to counterbalance its movement.
Wow. Yeah. Is that the fastest? Is that the fastest animal on the plains?
You're looking at over 60 miles an hour top speed.
But for short distances,
very short.
They can't do that very...
They overheat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it's running full tilt in a straight line, its back legs actually almost surpass its head when it's coming forward.
Wow, that's
cool.
I've
seen those videos. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, but it's a very slight cat. It's not very heavy because obviously it's got to move really fast. So it's just purely relying on getting within strike zone and then moving really, really fast and running its prey down. And then they have to eat because they're so light in comparison to leopard, hyena, lions. You're looking at something that needs to eat very, very fast, be very, very aware. Otherwise, it will have something stolen from it. So most of the time, they don't finish their kill. It's stolen by something else, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and a cheetah is actually the one with spots. So leopards don't have spots. They've got rosettes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at it carefully.
Leopard can't change its spot size.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I was waiting for it. Yeah. When you hear the word puma, what is a puma?
A mountain lion.
Okay, so that's different. That's okay.
Where
would
jaguars come in?
Jaguars are very, very similar to leopards, obviously just found in South America. Best place to see them is in the Pantanal in Brazil. We've actually planning on going. We actually haven't had time to get there. I've just had one of my friends be there. Nick was there, I think, 3 months.
Okay.
And if you look at the size, it's much bigger than a leopard.
Okay.
And it's very aquatic.
Yeah, they swim.
They swim. Jaguars actually hunt caiman. That's their main food source in the Amazon.
Wait, they're killing crocs.
Yeah. That's the main food source.
There's some video you want to watch.
Yeah.
Go and look at those videos. That is wicked. That is something that is very high on my list.
But puma's a mountain lion, though. You're not
Yes.
going to find the pumas on the plains.
No.
That's good to know. So I didn't know that. I did not know that. Are there, within the species of jaguars and the species of leopards and cheetahs, are there variations well, I'm sure you can find a rare albino in any particular, like a white cheetah. Is there a white cheetah? Is there a white?
So the way a cheetah actually works is that there's a genetic variation. It's called a king cheetah.
Okay.
So it's got lines down its back, so it's not just spots, and it's actually bigger. So the last one that was seen in the Kruger National Park was 3-4 years ago, and they hadn't seen one in over 75 years.
Wow.
Of that genetic variation. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
That's what my cat has. My Savannah cat. It's got lines down the back and spots.
So, how does talk a little bit about the conservation end of it?
Okay.
Because I don't know anything about it. Obviously, I know what an endangered species is.
Yes.
So, who's in charge for? Do they tag the animals? A wild animal isn't tagged, right? It's observed, and they kind of know where they are, but they don't go in and label them or anything, right?
They use collars. So this year that we were at Olakira, southern Serengeti, and we collared an elephant.
March.
So March. So we actually did an elephant collaring for research. So we were part of this experience with Acilia Africa, which is one of the companies that we use. They've got lodges and so on. So those like your ground handlers, and it's to do with, it actually reports back, and it depends on how often you want that data, but it can actually report up to every single 5 minutes, and you can track that animal on your laptop.
Wow.
So it's like a microchip, or is it
It's got like a big collar.
Bluetooth? Oh, get out!
Yeah, satellite collar.
It's like a big necklace.
That's like a big
You
necklace.
guys posted that, one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. So they darted it, and then you had to wait for it to go down. And then we went up and they did the collaring.
Just give him a 6-pack of beer. Probably easier, right?
Yeah.
Or like a 80-pack of beer.
And then they wake it up, and then you watch it stand up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're not always impressed that they've got some new jewelry, but it's very, very important because that goes back to that human-wildlife conflict.
Of course.
The elephants being very, very destructive, with crops and so on. And it's definitely not their fault. I mean, they've been here a lot longer. So you got to look at that, and that's why we go and collar animals, especially like you get some very naughty cats as well.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, who like livestock.
Oh.
It's much easier than chasing down a gazelle.
Got it.
A cow is pretty slow in
Yeah,
comparison.
it's just sitting and waiting.
Yeah, so they will collar what we classify as problem cats as well, and it's the same. It's a
So
necklace.
farmers that are in the Serengeti,
Borders, yeah.
on the borders of it, yeah, they're okay.
And that's the Maasai people. Some of the most incredible people you could ever meet are the Maasai.
And what's the story there?
Maasai are your legendary warriors that are in the red cloth that you've seen on the African plains that
Yes.
run with a spear.
Yes.
These guys are absolutely incredible. They are as tough as it comes. I mean, if you're living in amongst the wildlife and trying to protect your livestock, which is mainly goats and sheep and cattle, they walk them through conservation areas.
Wow.
And I've got some very good friends there that are Maasai. One guy that comes to mind in particular is Manja. Manja is actually a Maasai from the border between Kenya and Tanzania. So he's got no passport. He just travels where he needs to
Okay.
because he's an indigenous person to that area.
Got
Gotcha.
it. Got
It
it.
is absolutely incredible to hear how these guys grew up, defending their livestock against leopard, lion. They're not really into crops. They're more like cattle herders and so on. And they move a lot. They move with the seasonal rain as well.
And it's a completely primitive lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing that we would even recognize.
No.
At all.
So yeah, we've had the opportunity to couple Maasai barbecues,
Okay.
It is incredible. So they slaughter a goat for you, and then they cook it really, really slowly. So similar to like an Argentinian barbecue, you know, how they sort of flay it out.
Right.
And it's the same. And that's their main. They love meat. Meat is everything.
It meets their diet.
Yeah.
And they probably use every ounce of that animal too.
Every single thing. Yeah.
They even make soup out of the brains.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Intestines, all that kind of stuff. There's a soup that they make. Depending on how the water situation is, they actually drink the blood of the animals as well to get moisture in, and because it's so nutritious as well.
Pretty hardcore there.
But amazing people.
That's pretty hardcore for sure. But that's a complete. When I say primitive lifestyle, they're not living in anything that we would recognize. Like they're not living in structures. They're not.
No, they do. They've got like homesteads. But most of the time it's the young guys that'll have to go out and they build bomas. So boma is a circular structure made out of the materials at hand. So a lot of the time it's acacia trees with the big white thorns that you see on the safari videos, and they'll build that boma, put their livestock. The livestock will be in between the warriors. They'll protect that if a leopard or a lion or something gets through that in the dark. Remember, there's no electricity out there either. So you're taking on a lion.
That's the bush, man.
With a spear in the night, yeah. It's pretty incredible. They are and they can run like you have never seen. I mean, you watch the Olympics and so on. I mean, if you watch Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, those guys are they built different, endurance athletes of note.
And I'll weigh about 80 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I'm sure contributes to it too.
Yeah.
But that's what a tough life. But again, if that's all you know,
right?
If that's,
they love it, eh?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. They've never changed to the Western ways. So it's very interesting to be able to meet these people. As much as my sole purpose is being a wildlife photographer and that, learning the culture of the people within those areas is also super important to me.
I bet. Oh, that'd have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you need a level of acceptance from them as well, right?
Oh yeah. They check you out when you get there.
I would imagine. So the acceptance just doesn't come from the animals that you encounter. It comes from everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different. To a completely westernized person, they would have no clue.
No,
at all.
No, you got to get out there and see it for yourself to truly like. You can watch a documentary, and I love the way that documentaries depict things because it's always a story. Yeah. When you actually get out there, you see that story live, and you see how much actually happens and what factors are at play. It changes your perception of the world and what's really important.
So talk about lions for a second.
Okay. All right.
Because I think that's the cat that most people.
He's the king of the jungle.
Yeah, I guess. I think, but there's different kinds of lions. I mean,
There's actually some pretty unique lions in South Africa in the Kruger National Park at the moment called white lions.
Okay.
And they actually are. It would look sort of. So we classify it as leucistic. I think that's the right word, but it's essentially an albino.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's completely white. And the reason
eyes like pink, the eyes light.
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
They are. But it does vary, and there's quite a famous cat at the moment. His name's Casper.
Okay.
So he's one of 3 brothers in a coalition, and his other 2 brothers are tawny color, and then he's this white standout lion, and he's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty amazing.
That's a cool name too.
Yeah. Casper.
for a white lion too. Yeah. But so when you see the mane, that's the male.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the females don't have the mane.
No.
Okay, but it's too simple to say lion because there's too many species of lions, correct?
So there's Asiatic, which is I think found in Gir province in India, as far as I know. So Gir, there's a lion reserve within India, and they're actually slightly smaller than African lions.
Okay.
But they look visually, if you had to see a picture of them, they'd look exactly the same.
Okay.
But the variation in size, there is definitely, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But like here in Pennsylvania, Nittany lions, right? That's like a. Why are you looking at me?
I'm just
Penn State. I can't pronounce it. Nittany lion. I can't stand that team. That's why I can't pronounce it. But so when people think of lions, they think of the mane. They think of like the Lion King movie. They think of the African Serengeti. They think of that. But I was always told that species has there's a lot of different breeds in that species. Am I saying that right? A lot of different breeds in the species, or species in the breed.
So it would be it comes down to also environmental factor.
Okay.
So it's what environment and what situation those lions would be in, and what they're mainly feeding on. You know, if there's not if you're not getting in big animals like buffalo, for instance,
okay,
and you're just feeding on smaller antelope, you're not going to get bigger.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Got it. If the region doesn't have the food source,
you're going to be smaller.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, for example, in Botswana in the Delta, the Okavango Delta, the lions are hunting a lot of the time in water. So they actually, because of that resistance, it's shallow sort of water. Because of that water resistance on their muscles, they're much bigger. They actually get beefed up. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Those are big lions. So
are they fast?
Yeah.
Really?
Lions are quick. They're very lazy cats. So they're sleeping up to 20 hours a day.
Okay.
And only really active for 4 hours, you know, at a push. It's all about conserving your energy.
Because of heat.
It's heat. And also, if you're hunting for your food, you don't want to be running around like a headless chicken trying to catch something, you know. You want to conserve that energy.
But you said buffalo multiple times here. And so you're saying the buffaloes just don't roam in North America, they're down in South America too.
Well, yeah,
in Africa.
In Africa, so
yeah.
So your buffalo per se is actually just a bison. So they're very very
Let's
different.
talk about the difference there, because I understand.
I mean, they're they're in the same family group. So
size difference?
Slightly, not much. I think. I'd have to check my facts on that one. I'm not 100% sure where it comes.
That's okay.
But
the pure buffalo is a food source.
Yeah.
A big food source for the cats down there.
But not an easy food source. It's a highly aggressive animal. It does not like lions, and they also have family structure. So the herd moves together. The big bulls are protecting the youngsters, and often lions are killed by buffalo when they're trying to hunt them. They get gored, with the horns.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm actually off in February to go and film and photograph lion-buffalo interaction in the Delta, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the photographer geek's gonna come out in for a second, but I mean, I know approximately what a 400 millimeter lens will do on a full frame lens, a full frame camera.
Yeah.
It's still kind of close. Like, what kind of telephoto power are you using there? Because we're actually using a bit smaller, like 70 to 200 at f2.8 is really my prime lens. You can get close enough with a 200. You're pretty damn close, buddy.
Yeah, we've had a cheetah jump on the car in the Serengeti and stand on the roof. It's pretty close.
I'm out.
I know. I don't think I can handle it.
That's insane.
No, it's incredible.
That's insane.
You're really up close and personal with these wild animals. It's such a unique experience, and I wish everybody around the world could experience it, because it's absolutely life-changing.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to find that in North America.
No,
you're just not going to find it. Yeah, and nothing in your... Yeah, and that's what other people throughout my life who have been on safaris have told me the exact same, that they've come back different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
powerful.
It is.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I mean, obviously it changed. You're both, I mean, you've been doing it for quite a while, but it obviously
changed me.
Changed your life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk about that. Like what like in what ways?
Well, I just always want to be in Africa now.
Yeah.
Even though I live here.
Okay.
And I mean, I love the photography stuff now, and I just love being out in the bush, driving around on the vehicle, looking for the animals. I don't know. There's just something. You're out in nature, fresh air. It's just cool.
So, to someone who has an aversion to snakes, I don't dig snakes. Are there a lot of snakes down there?
It's good to know.
I had actually one of my closest snake encounters just here in Sewickley about a year ago with a big rat snake.
But it was small compared to...
Yeah, there's some nasties out there, but I mean, you find that all over the world. So yes, there's variation in snakes, but you're not at risk per se.
Okay,
No.
so it isn't like they're not widely available.
No. I mean, we don't see snakes that often when you're out on drive.
Not really, no.
No.
Okay, so this is embarrassing to say, but I watched that Survivor Man show for a long time, and that was kind of cool because forget the storyline.
Yeah.
Put the storyline aside, some of the video and some of the essence of what he was trying to do, but of course it's supposed to be it's television.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of not predators. There were a lot of things that can kill you out there.
Oh yeah,
like scorpions, or there was there were bugs the size of my fist.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all real?
It's real. It is, but you're not at risk, it's what you're putting yourself into.
Got it.
If I go walk in the woods here and I run into a black bear, I mean, I've put myself there.
Yeah, right.
So going on safari, like you're entering their habitat, their home. So it's just always to remember just to be respectful of that animal. Mm-hmm. You can view a black mamba, for instance, which is Africa's most deadly snake. Mm-hmm. Highly aggressive, very, very fast.
You can view it?
Yeah, you'll see it. You can take a look at it. You're not going to run away from it.
You're not going to run away from it? Like, what do you mean? I'd run away from it.
It's faster than you.
Oh, so a snake is faster. Well, I mean, a strike, I get the strike, but a snake can move faster.
Slithering.
Yeah. And a black mamba can lift 2/3 of its body up. And there's records of them looking bull elephants in the face. They get big. They get big.
Oh, that's not frightening at all. That's
I don't think Eric will be booking with you guys.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
I mean, I've only seen 2 snakes out on drive.
Yeah. They hear they feel the vibration of the vehicle and generally move off.
Yeah.
You're not going to just get a snake there that's going to come and attack you. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So you're pretty safe, yeah.
I forgot to ask you about rhinoceroses.
Oh,
that's a good topic. I mean,
let's talk about some rhinos, because I see all the videos over the years of like in the television shows of rhinos chasing down jeeps.
Well, you can tell them your story about.
Yeah, I've got quite the history with rhinos and so on. I've been involved in anti-poaching efforts to protection.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so I have been involved in that.
Okay.
Roughly 2 years of doing that on and off while I was guiding at a lodge in South Africa.
Oh, right on.
Which was, it's impressive, but it's also that species is dying out faster than we realize. All the different variations of rhinos. You've got rhinos in Sumatra, Java, black and white rhino in Africa.
So let's talk about the poaching for a second. What's the lure of that animal? What are they being poached for?
Their horns.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Chinese medicine.
Yeah, it's Chinese medicine, so traditional medicine.
Okay.
And there's some of your how do you word it? Let's get straight to it. The Russians are stockpiling illegally. If I have to be honest.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
Yeah. So there's powers at play behind this that are so far above our heads that we'll never ever be able to stop it. We can only slow it down and look for solutions.
Wow.
It is inevitable that we will potentially within 5-10 years, you might only have rhinos in highly protected areas. They will not roam free anymore because they'll be in danger.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's pretty brutal. They come and they just chop the horn off and then leave it.
Yeah.
So, they're not cutting just the horn off and leaving the stump. They actually cut into the face of that animal, into the nasal cavities. It's brutal. Oh my God. I've done autopsies on poached rhinos before, where we're cutting them up looking for projectiles that they might have been shot with, or we've worked on ones that you save, so that's your job. You're there to try and protect a species so that eventually, hopefully, kids in the future have that experience to see a rhino, because it's so far out. It's like one of the coolest looking things ever. It's so ancient.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And the rate so it's used as an aphrodisiac, and it's just keratin. So it's like having a dreadlock on your face. There's no nutritional value to rhino horn whatsoever, and I cannot stress that enough. It's like chewing your fingernails.
So what do they use it for?
Lots of things, depending on where you are. Within a lot of it's all to do with a traditional Asian medicine. So it's ancient. You can track this back to like 2000 BC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Within the Chinese emperors and so on, it's always been used. It's thought to help with hangovers, if you're having sort of sexual problems, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just,
I've proven to be fertile, Myrtle.
True.
Yeah. So that's it. It's a sad situation.
No doubt.
And it
gets me angry, actually.
It does. It riles me up, hey. However, there are tons of efforts going in. There's one of my friends, Joel. He's known as the conservation vet, and that is his job is just working with wild animals, with wildlife. He's a vet, and that's what he does. He does a lot of the dehornings, and when you're dehorning that animal, you're not taking out of the nasal cavities, and you're not cutting it like a poacher would. You're just cutting it off with a chainsaw. There's no nerve endings or feeling there or anything like that, and that's to deter poachers or to discourage it, because you're not getting a horn.
Right.
However, what we found is that
it's a shame we have to do that. We have to change the animal's appearance to keep other humans from destroying them. It's crazy.
It's madness. It's absolute madness that this, just chew your fingernails.
Right.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And we're losing such an iconic species to really putting it down just to plain human stupidity. That's it.
Talk about that animal, though, on the positive side. Just talk about rhinos in general. I mean,
so white
size-wise, compare them to like a hippo or elephant.
It's a big bull white rhino, and it's called white and black. There's actually no color variation.
Okay.
The correct terms would be broad-lipped and hooked-lipped. So broad-lipped is the white rhino would be eating grass.
Got it.
So it's got a big square fat lip,
right
obviously to munch and graze.
Right on.
And black rhino actually got a hooked, like a very dexterous top lip, so they actually pick leaves, and majority of the time they'll feed from that kind of foliage.
Got it.
Black rhino being a lot more notoriously aggressive. Those are the ones you said charging down jeeps, and but it's because they've got such bad eyesight. Rhinos have got terrible eyesight.
Like Katie.
Like Katie.
Yeah. So.
And she drove here.
I know. So if you look at rhinos across the world, the positive, it's a big bull white rhino. You're looking at roughly 3 tons.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Big. That's
big.
big.
No doubt.
And it can move.
And you've been chased by one.
Yeah, one nearly ran over me. Yeah, I was actually out helping. We were tracking a rhino that had come across the border from the Kruger National Park. So our work was private land or community-owned land that was involved with the lodge and so on, but a private entity, but no fences with the national park, so animals come in and out.
Okay.
And a rhino had been shot in one of its shoulders by what we presume would have been a poacher. We didn't see what happened.
Yeah.
And we were trying to move it out of a thicket area so that the vet could get to it, dart it, and try and patch this animal up, and we could make a decision from there.
Right.
But he got a little bit grumpy, and I was caught between a thicket and a very, very upset rhino. I managed to jump up and out of the way, and he clipped me on my feet.
Oh my gosh.
And spun me like this through the air. So if not for me jumping at that exact second, he just would have trampled me. I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Oh my gosh.
It was very close. That's probably my closest, scariest thing that's ever happened. And I mean, that's not something that anybody else is really going to be involved in unless you're into that conservation work and getting up close like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be risky at times, hey? But in general, they're very docile animals. They're amazing. It's incredible.
You don't think of a rhino being docile.
Yeah, they are.
It's a funny word for a rhino. I believe you.
Yeah.
But you don't think of. It's funny. I think of a hippo. I think it's because when you're little, Disney or whatever, the companies, they kind of take an animal, create a character, and then based on that character's disposition, that's how you assume the animals. Because I think of a hippo, I think of Henrietta Hippo. I don't know where it's from. When I was a kid, like, Henrietta is not going to hurt anybody. Then you see these documentaries where they're like snapping people in half.
But most of the time they're just lounging in the water. You just see their heads. They're just chilling.
There was a show that was on, again, it's just television.
Yeah.
But it was this show where there was 2 guys and they went out into the, it wasn't Survivor Man. It was like there was 2 guys and they kind of had to coexist, and one guy was always barefoot. And
oh yeah, man, I watched that.
I watched that for like a long time. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
But it's funny when you see stuff like that. You think, these guys are out there by themselves. No, there's got to be someone following them around filming them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is like Survivor Man. He's by himself, supposedly.
Yeah.
Or Bear
Grylls.
But I think he ended up being a fraud in some little capacity too. I don't know. But these 2 guys would go out, and I saw this one. They were on the Serengeti, and it was they were supposed to go from point A to point B on their own, I guess. And they were stuck in this hippo enclave. It's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the way they filmed it, it was pretty horrifying. They're climbing some tree, and they're kind of hanging out in this tree like they're afraid to come down off the tree because the moment they step down. Now, would the hippo pursue you Or would they only go after you if you antagonize them? Like, would they smell meat and go after them in that circumstance? They would not.
No, it's to do with them moving, and water is their safety. They need water to survive because their skin is extremely sensitive to the sun. So it dries out very, very quickly.
Okay.
So if you get in between a hippo and the water, that's generally when that conflict is taking place. Or they're under high, intense pressure situations where a hippo is out of the water and you're walking through the bush. Let's say I'm doing a guided walk in a game reserve or so on, and I stumble upon that animal. But generally when they're in the water, they have charged out of water. I've seen it. I've been charged in a vehicle before by one. But he's a grumpy old bull that was kicked out. You know, somebody had taken over his family, and he wasn't that happy for me to be around. So that's my bad, you know.
Understood.
But, yeah, in general, it's just that they can be calm. But if you're viewing, you can stand on next to the river and look at a hippo in the water. It's not necessarily going to just come out and attack, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's cool animals. I mean, I don't know. I just think always, because I think they're misunderstood. I think, you know, they're pretty ferocious. I mean, the way the other side of them compared to the Henrietta Hippo side, the cartoon side, you know, the stuffed animal character thing that we all live in. What other animals are we missing here? The cats.
I think I'd like to get back to the leopard.
Yes.
Leopard to me is probably the ultimate predator. It is.
And why?
It uses a camouflage. It calculates everything, so it has to be within a certain distance because it's got explosive speed, but it's not fast like a cheetah over a much bigger distance.
Okay.
So it's using cover to hunt. Yeah, and leopards are just so incredible because a lot of the time, if there's a lot of pressure from other cats and a lot of hyena in that area, for example, they drag the kill up the tree, and that's something to witness.
Wow.
That's pretty special.
I think I have seen a video of that.
Wait, leopard drags its prey up the tree to eat it.
Yep.
So the other animals can't get at it.
Yeah.
And it might be just as big as the leopard, and it's dragging it up the tree.
So are they the only cat that climbs like that?
No, lions climb.
Yeah.
Lions are just generally quite heavy, so it doesn't work out too well.
Yeah.
And they're not I'd say not as nimble as a leopard. Leopards are very, very sure-footed animals. Very confident with climbing. They rely on it a lot to keep their food source safe. Hyenas are big animals. You know, it's easily going to overpower a smaller female leopard or so on and steal that kill from them.
Got it.
If you're looking at a lion's weight at about a female being, I think, at about 150 kilograms.
Okay.
A female leopard only comes in roughly 45 kilograms. So it's pretty much 3 times the size, 4 times the size. So that's its way to keep safe is put its food up out of conflict range, and that's And they're extremely adaptable animals. There's leopards that live underground and in the city of Mumbai in India. Wow. There's Indian leopards that live within the city and hunt on stray dogs, pigs, that kind of stuff within the
Wow.
city. Yeah, it's incredible. It's mind blowing.
Okay. That's insane.
Yeah.
And that, are the Indian people okay with that? I mean, it's an assumption.
I don't think they really have a choice.
Yeah.
In the matter. I mean, I sort of live here, and that's a way of life.
They don't try to eradicate them.
They're so protected now. You know, wildlife. There definitely is a huge movement with the protection of these species. I think if you look at the way that David Attenborough, you know, life on this planet and so on, I think it's brought a lot of attention to this.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to get people to coexist with wildlife.
Of course.
You know, coexisting with your environment is key to survival.
And not destroying their environment.
Exactly.
And sending them into a tizzy. Cougars, besides the local dive bar down the street. Anyways,
Guilty.
I'm just saying that they're also in Serengeti, right?
No,
they're not.
No.
Well,
it depends on which one we're talking about.
It depends how big your safari group is, right?
Yeah.
And they could get transplanted there for 10 days. So the term cougar is it's obviously a cat.
Yeah.
Where are they found at generally?
I mean, it's the same as a mountain lion. I think it's just slightly different areas.
Okay.
I'm not too clued up on that side of things.
Okay.
But I do know I mean, if you're looking at Argentina and Patagonia, that area they call pumas.
Patagonia. Okay.
And then in California, it's either a mountain lion or a cougar.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's pretty much the same animal.
So there's cougars in North America.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quite a couple.
Yeah, all over the place.
All over. You're never safe, eh?
You know what?
That's some good shit right there. That is some good shit.
It's the most dangerous animal out there.
That's what I hear.
Jen, I think they're talking about us.
I think they are.
Yeah. What have we missed from the Serengeti? What do we miss?
Sure.
We haven't really talked about hyenas a lot.
I'm
they
a little
aren't they?
confused on what they are exactly.
Yeah, and there's different types of hyena. It's not just the spotted hyena or laughing hyena that you're used to from sort of the Disney. Mm-hmm. I cannot stress how intelligent that animal is. It is not what you see on Disney.
Okay.
It is an incredibly complex animal with a very, very cool social structure. So it's a matriarchal society.
Okay.
With females being much bigger and dominant over the males. Actually having more testosterone than males.
Nice.
And they are a lot larger. Yeah. So they run the clan, so there'll be like an alpha female.
Right.
And she'll have an alpha male, but the highest ranked male within their social structures ranks lower than the lowest ranked female.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible.
That's pretty dominant.
Yeah. It's a very dominant. Yeah, most of the time, if you see a hyena walking on its own in the Serengeti, it's generally a smaller, younger male, and he won't call the others in when he feeds because he just gets kicked off whatever he's eating.
Oh, that's kind of human. And then, how many species or how many of?
So you're looking at, especially like Namibia, for instance, it's a really cool place. You see brown hyena.
Brown.
Yeah, coastal areas where they're feeding on. So the Skeleton Coast of Namibia, very famous place. It's on, it would be the western side of the country. There's brown hyena there that just wait for the seals and so on to give birth, and they hunt like that. They'll actually hunt seals on the beach. It's pretty incredible.
That's insane.
And it's long and shaggy. It's not like the short hair, furry that you see the general spotted hyena. It's got like long, shaggy hair. It's a pretty cool looking animal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty kick-ass.
And they feed off of seals, you say?
Yeah, a lot of seals. There's not much else there. Yeah. Really, it's the Skeleton Coast for a reason. Things just die. It's pretty incredible. It's a skeleton coast from a human point of view. There's a lot of shipwrecks and so on, but also if you go and explore that area, there's a lot of whale carcasses that have washed up, and there's just nothing there. So it's completely isolated, very remote, and these animals find a way to survive.
Right.
It's pretty
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. There's also lions that live in the desert there, desert lions. So that's another variation. They're very, very, there's not a big population of them, but they also, there's lions that have been seen hunting seals on the beach.
Really?
On the Skeleton Coast of Namibia, yeah.
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah. It's incredible. And then you've got striped hyena, which is black and white. It looks like a zebra.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
much smaller than the others. But,
okay.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool looking animal. Yeah. And that'll feed on, a lot of the time they're feeding on insects and stuff like that. So yeah.
On insects?
Insects, yeah. So there's another variation of it called an aardwolf. I don't know how you'd even explain it, but it's much smaller and it just feeds on insects. But it looks like a small hyena, so it's smaller than the striped hyena, and all it does is feed on insects. That's the bulk of its diet, yeah.
How large does a hyena get? On the large side, on the larger size?
I would say probably a good 200 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah.
That big?
Yeah. I might be a little off on that one, I'll check it, but that's roughly what I can work it out to in my head, yeah. It's a big animal.
That's a big animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at 90 to 100 kilograms for a really large female, it's a big animal, but you can look more towards the 150, 160 range around there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's got the strongest bite on Earth out of any mammal. Majority of spotted hyenas' diet is bone.
Oh, wow.
Because it's majority of the time they're not actually hunting, they're also feeding off of carcasses, so you're taking what's left. However, they are very accomplished pack hunters as well. They hunt a lot of the time. They don't just scavenge like it's been depicted on TV. Yeah, they're actually very, very good hunters, and they just run their prey down. They're extreme endurance animals. They will run and chase down an antelope for hours and hours and hours. Until that animal is so tired it falls over, a hyena will pursue it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
The antelope's a big prey animal there, right?
Yeah, a lot of gazelle. So antelope. So if you're looking at kudu with the big spiral horns, those are pretty cool.
Yeah. That, how do you pronounce that?
A kudu.
Kudu. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool one.
So is that related to the ram?
No, different. An antelope, and then within an antelope, there's
that's
different...
an impala, right? Then antelope and impala are in the same family.
Yeah. So impala would be an antelope.
Okay.
So the difference between an antelope and a deer shed, so antlers and so on, and impala, once a horn breaks or something, it doesn't grow it back. That's it. It's got a bony structure with a keratin sheath over it.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's what differentiates them. And then spiral horned antelope like the kudu and yala. Bushbuck, I think, falls into that one as well. So there's so much out there. It's actually mind-blowing.
It's fascinating to me. So is there an animal that looks like a ram that climbs trees or hangs on the edge of mountains? What's the name of that animal? Because you see, like, and you say to yourself, how the F did that thing get in the tree? That's like
mountain goats.
Yeah.
Mountain goats.
The mountain goats? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, and bighorn sheep. Like
bighorn sheep,
maybe. In Yellowstone, they have the bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
So
and they're way up on the mountains.
And they hang on the cliff sides. Yeah. So they can like stand on the.
Yeah.
But that I can understand. But like, how do they get into a tree? Like, I don't understand how they actually.
Because they're not a cat. Yeah.
How do they climb?
I mean, have you ever seen those pictures of those goats, normally in North Africa, like Morocco and so on, and then they're all standing in a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It looks fake, but...
It's real.
So how... I get that they're there, but how do they get there?
I don't know. I've seen video footage.
Nobody knows. They're up there.
He's there.
But, like, how do they get there? They wait till all the lights are out and they go.
I have no idea how this happened, but I saw footage somewhere in Africa of a goat hanging from like wires across the road, so like by its horns. How it got there, I have no clue, but I've seen them. If you look at these photographs of mountain goats and so on, and they climb like sheer dam walls, like a dam wall.
Yeah,
that's like they got such incredible foot structure that they can climb almost vertically. I don't know how, but it's just
insane.
Yeah, you never think like a mountain goat would be so. Like if you say to somebody, "Would you like to see a mountain goat or a lion?" You know, they're going to go lion every day. But the mountain goat is so fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. It defies physics almost when you look at them, right? How's that even possible? Yeah. Well, birds down there.
I was just going to say that.
Cool. This is very cool birds. I mean, it depends on how far you want to dive into that kind of topic. I mean...
We're talking...
Sure. I'm into the colourful stuff. Obviously, being a photographer.
Absolutely.
That doesn't take away from the little brown jobs as well. The little guys that you see around, and everything has its place. But obviously, looking at raptors in Africa, if you're looking at big birds, it's the place to go. You know, you're seeing raptors. Mm-hmm. So falcons, kites, eagles. That's all falling into that sort of raptor class.
Right.
Watching them hunt is absolutely incredible. There's a martial eagle in Africa. It's called a martial eagle. It's a big bird.
Okay.
They hunt very, very small antelope, buck, and so on like that. So like we got something called a steenbuck, which steen is just.
Wait. You're saying a bird hunts a mammal?
Yes, it does. And what it does is it breaks its back as it lands on it. So it will come from altitude and hit that animal on the ground, and then break its back, and then feed on it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this...
Wingspan just insanely big.
Yeah, big. You know, and if you're looking at like vultures and so on as well in Africa, there's so many variations. And let's say a wildebeest just falls behind and dies from natural things, and it falls behind the herd and it dies. There's different vultures that will come in at different times where they feed on that carcass. For example, they need the smaller variations need the big ones to open that carcass up.
Got it.
So a hooded vulture is much smaller, so it'll feed in between sort of rib cages and so on, where a white-backed or a Ruppel's griffin will come in and open that carcass up for them.
Got it.
So birds are just there's so much in the birding world. There's too much for me. Like, you get guys that specifically just do bird photography and they travel the world for it.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, and you got to build a lot of knowledge on that side. It's pretty intense.
It's just amazing to me that they're. I mean, some of the wingspans and some of the. How heavy are those birds? Like weight wise.
If you're looking at like let's take a white-backed vulture for example. If the weather and there's no thermals coming in warm weather, so like hot air rising up, they actually can't fly. They're too heavy. It uses too much energy. Yeah, they solely rely on thermals to be able to use the wind and move and find carcasses. Yeah. So they're too heavy to really use their own wings. If they have to, they will, but it burns a hell of a lot of energy, and that's not efficient in the wild.
So do those predatory birds, are they strictly carnivores? Or can they also eat plant vegetation too? It's one or the other.
Yeah. One or the other. You do find things like I think it's in the Galapagos Islands. There's a vampire finch.
A what? A finch?
A finch. It's called a vampire finch.
How big is it?
It's probably about that big.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And there's other, like, I think it's
But it's a carnivore.
Yeah, it feeds on
fish or
no, on birds. So it'll actually pick and feed on the blood.
Oh, get out!
Of another bird that's on that same
island. It's called a vampire finch.
A vampire finch.
That could be the name of a cool rock band.
Yeah,
Vampire Finch.
No, for sure. I mean, if you're looking at oxpeckers and so on in Africa, eating ticks, but so they actually eat the ticks off the animal. So it's ticks that are on like rhino, giraffe, that kind of stuff. They'll feed on that. If an animal has an open wound, they'll actually keep that wound open, because why eat the tick and try digest it that way if you can get blood straight from the source? And that blood is their diet. That's how it works.
Oh my God!
Yeah. You know a lot. I know he does. Do you think you'll ever go towards the bird photography?
Yeah, funny enough, that's actually more my dad's side of things.
Oh, right on.
He's quite into his birding, and my dad's a financial planner with a bird obsession.
What's wrong with that?
He loves it.
But we also went and saw the shoebill storks in
that's a
Uganda.
crazy bird.
And they're like 6 feet tall.
I wouldn't say 6 foot, but yeah.
They're pretty big.
Probably about your height, I'd say. Yeah, 5'3".
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, your storks can get that big.
Yeah, it's actually not a true stork. It's actually its own kind of bird completely, and
no shit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Prehistoric looking.
Very prehistoric animals, and very endangered as well because of where they live. They live mainly in swamps and so on. So with people clearing out these areas for farming and so on, a lot of habitat loss. I mean, that's really what faces wildlife, is habitat loss. That's our biggest problem with conservation.
Yeah.
But on the bird side with that, they also don't help themselves out a lot of the time. So shoebill storks will lay 2 eggs. Whoever hatches first is obviously going to be more dominant, and doesn't want to compete with the similar sibling, and it will kill that sibling. To stop food competition.
Don't tell my twins this story. It'd be tragic. Man, Whitney wouldn't be here.
What's on tap for you folks? I mean, are you getting ready to leave again? You just got here.
I just got here. I'm here for roughly 2 weeks.
Okay.
Heading out to Jackson Hole on Monday.
Right on.
Just to go photograph some of your wildlife.
I hope to be back in Africa by January. So for a couple months.
Let's hope this travel thing stays open.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Tanzania
didn't close down.
They didn't close down.
Yeah, right
so.
on. Good.
Yeah, we were able to go in and out there the whole way through this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Botswana, South Africa, Tanzania. We're going to Kenya in March.
Kenya, we're actually going to go look for a really cool leopard. It's melanistic, so it's black.
Wow.
A black leopard in the wild.
So cool.
Yeah.
We're actually not guaranteed on seeing this.
Cool.
No.
But yeah, we're going to go after it. So you're like your savannah cat that you spoke about, which we call a serval in Africa.
Yeah.
We went after a melanistic one like that, completely black, and it's in the wild.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And we found it.
There's a lot. And we found it after 3 tries. We had to go back 3 times.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What a life, man.
The before we wrap up, how besides the website, Is there any other points of interest you want to point them to? Because you're both on Instagram, and the
Instagram,
photography's there.
Yes.
I mean, you can get there from the website.
Yes.
Yes.
But
It
if
was
you,
Kyle Smith.
what is it
What's
at?
Kyle SafariSmiths.
That's me.
And your
And Jen Travels Africa.
Jen,
is
well, that's
mine.
easy enough. Like, go to the website, and you have the links on both of there. If you go
Yeah.
to the About page
Yeah.
of the, it's a very nice website, by the way. Very
Thank you.
simple, straightforward,
Thank
right to
you.
the point, no
Yeah.
fluff, good stuff there. But for those who are interested in possibly exploring the opportunity of getting out there, they can do it and contact you through the site as well, too.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Instagram Messenger.
Instagram is
or-
normally easiest. Yeah.
Instagram is the
It's
main
amazing.
source.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, from photography.
Yeah, for what
Everyone's
you're doing,
on
it's a
Instagram.
perfect. It's a perfect.
Yeah.
We need to connect on that today too.
Definitely. Yeah.
And SafariSmiths also has an Instagram page.
So,
So we
the
have our
company,
personal ones, and then we have the company one
Okay,
as well.
but they can get you through SafariSmiths
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Or the personal, yeah.
Or personal, yeah.
Absolutely.
I would love for you to come back.
Okay.
Anytime.
I'm serious. I could. This could go on for hours.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
this
We
could
didn't
go-
even talk about all the different animals
Yeah.
so much.
No,
It
I
was
would love.
shocking
I
to
would.
me.
I mean, I know. I know. Obviously, logistics, and you're traveling the world, so I understand logistics. But I would love to have you back, even on a regular basis, to talk about everything that you do. It's fascinating
Thank
to
you.
me. I really appreciate this.
Cool.
This means a
Yeah.
lot.
I appreciate being here. Thank you
Yes.
for the opportunity.
Oh, it's
Thank
just,
you.
I mean, you folks did me a favor today. But please come back for
Okay.
sure.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
We
Yeah.
will.
And thank you, Katie.
No problem.
Once
Thank you,
again,
Katie.
Great
I think I
friendship.
Katie.
contributed fascinating conversation.
You are the reason we're here today, so I will never take that friendship for granted. It's not what I do. But it's so nice to meet you, and I feel like I have two new friends now.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
You betcha.
That's great.
All right, friends.
Awesome.
We're out.
Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.